all of his godbrothers who would like to come to receive him, because here he was a conquering Gaudiya Vaishnava missionary who had spread Krishna consciousness in places where no one had ever even ventured to go before, and was coming back successfully. And one godbrother, Puri Maharaj, he said, "Oh yes, I would like to go." But when he said that, I didn't really know much about the internal workings or the politics or whatever that was going on between the different Gaudiya Mat people. But the one Grihastha devotee came up to him and said, "No, Maharaj, how can you go? You are an older godbrother to him. You took initiation before he did. You took sannyas before he did. So you cannot go to him. He should come to meet you." I said, it's kind of strange. I mean, what does it matter if you initiated a few days earlier or later? Someone had done such a wonderful preaching. So in the end, none of Prabhupada's godbrothers actually came to the airport to meet him, but some disciples of his godbrothers came to meet him. So Prabhupada noted that he was not very happy that none of his godbrothers came to meet him. And then one of the godbrothers' disciple invited that your godbrother's waiting for you at his temple. He has a feast for you there. So he wants you to go from the airport to his temple. And then Prabhupada, he became very grave. And then he said, "Let us go," in the car. Of course, before that we had a big reception, a press conference and everything, and there was an arti in the VIP lounge. He didn't have to go through any customs, immigration. He went straight to the VIP lounge. And then when he came out, we had a big, it was a Cadillac actually. Somehow one life member had a Chevrolet or Cadillac, a very big car for India, American car. And so then Prabhupada went in that. And then they invited that you come to the temple of his godbrother. When he went in the car, and then he said, "Take me to your house. I will not go to that temple. You can go later and bring the prasadam that they've made and bring it to the house. You go straight to our house." We were invited to some Bhagavad Gita conference. It was sponsored by one of the disciples of Gandhiji, Vinoda Bhave, in a place called Wardha in Maharashtra. And he's very famous. Vinoda Bhave was one of the most famous saints in the Gandhi tradition, and all big political leaders would go to meet him. And he was trying to protect the cows from being slaughtered. That was one of his last campaigns. But somehow he was having a big conference on the Bhagavad Gita, and he invited Prabhupada to come. And he invited many other sadhus to come. So I was there for that conference. And we were all sitting in a very raised seat, and Vinoda Bhave had many women disciples who would chant whole chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. And then Prabhupada, he had international devotees, men and women. And there were other Mayavadis who had their disciples. So Prabhupada, Vinoda Bhave had his disciples sing the Bhagavad Gita, and he spoke something. Then Prabhupada had us chant Hare Krishna. We were all chanting a big kirtan. Everybody was rocking and clapping their hands, and they were getting into the kirtan. Then Prabhupada delivered a very nice lecture. Then afterwards there was one Mayavadi sannyasi, and it seemed like he was upset that Prabhupada's kirtan and everything was having a big effect on the whole crowd. So then, normally he would just give a Bhagavad Gita class, but now he wanted to do a kirtan also. So then he told the people, "You should all chant with me, we'll do a kirtan." And it seemed like he was just speculating some mantra right on the spot. Maybe he chanted before, I don't know. But it was a very unusual mantra, something like Sat Chit Ananda Vasudeva Sat Chit Ananda Govindam Om Tat Sat. And then, it was just really strange, and nobody was really getting inspired by the mantra, but he was trying to chant it. In the middle of Prabhupada, he just said to the devotees, "Chant Hare Krishna again." So then right in the middle of his, Mayavadi kirtan, the devotees just jumped up and with kirtan, kartals and madranga drums, They just started chanting, and everybody was kind of relieved because that was the most strange chant they'd ever heard before, in their life. So then they all started chanting with Prabhupada. I was there also when some devotees, we went with Srila Prabhupada when he was seeing Indira Gandhi, and he had a list of things he was going to discuss with Indira Gandhi. But then Indira Gandhi said that she was very upset because the president of Bangladesh, who was the founding president, Mujibur Rahman, he had just been assassinated in a coup. So she was very upset. But she made time for Prabhupada to see her, but first time she gave was a Thursday afternoon. So Prabhupada, he didn't really consult much with astrologers or anything, but he followed that don't have a really important meeting on a Thursday afternoon. Consider that it was not an auspicious time. That was about the only astrological thing he really observed. So he said, if I have to meet her at that time, then I don't want to meet her because I'd meet her in the morning or in the evening, but not in the afternoon. So they changed the time to a time that he approved of. So then we all went together, and but we got just to the door where Indira Gandhi came and met him, and then he went in alone and talked with her. So later we came back, and so she was very respectful to him. And she asked him actually, well, how do you know that your followers, they're not CIA agents? And then he had to explain that, I went to the West, I preached, these people have sacrificed everything, they gave up so many bad habits, they're getting up at 4 in the morning and attending Mangal Aartis, and if they were CIA, they'd go live in 5-star hotels and they would have a whole different lifestyle. They wouldn't be vegetarians, give up all these habits. So then she was convinced, and then she said, all right, so I'll give so many of your devotees, I'll give them long-term visa. Because there was a problem then, they weren't giving us visas. So then in India after that, she passed some order, and we all got, those who needed visas, they all got visas. One very nice thing which happened, one day we were in Mayapur, we were walking through the fields, and then Prabhupada would always have us, he'd ask me to sometime lead the way through the fields because they're just these little narrow paths between the rice paddies. And so then he said, these are like the little highways in the fields. So then he said he wanted to go to the Ganges, and he went down to the Ganges. At that time it was in the winter, and so the river was very low, and the water had become very clear. Normally the Ganges is like a little saffron color, slightly muddy with a reddish hue. But now the flow had reduced so much that you could see the bottom. It was clear. It was very rare to see the Ganges like that. So then Prabhupada said, let's take a bath. And then the secretary said, well, Prabhupada, we don't have any gamchas or towels or anything. We just came for a walk. Then Prabhupada looked around and said, well, there's no women here. We can just go in our kopins. And then I have a top piece, so I can wear this. So then he took off the top piece and put it on. And all the devotees, brahmacharis and sannyasis, just went into the Ganges. And then Prabhupada, he did something I never saw anyone do before. It's like when he was dipping under, he closed all the holes in his head. He put, I won't be able to speak when I do this, so I just did give a demonstration, but he put 2 fingers over the mouth, 2 over the nostrils, 2 over the eyes, and the thumbs in the ears, like this. He took 3 dips, then he came out. And then one devotee got a little excited, wanted to put water on Prabhupada's back or something, but then he kind of looked, and then it was getting too familiar. But it was very, I don't know what to say, it was very ecstatic to just suddenly have that kind of a spontaneous bath with Srila Prabhupada. Well, sometimes he'd be sitting in his room in Calcutta, and then I remember one time he was explaining, one of the life members said, well, can you show us a miracle? And Prabhupada said, well, some yogis, they show a miracle of, they give some rasgula or sweet or something. Said, I went to America with $40, with 40 rupees rather, and now we have temples all over the world in this short span which are worth more than 400 million rupees. So isn't that a miracle? And they thought for a minute, and the businessmen were calculating, said, that's a miracle. So we were walking on near the Jalangi River one day, and Prabhupada, one villager, he came with a big basket of vegetables on his head. So then Srila Prabhupada asked, so you're going to sell those in the market? He said, yes. Well, how much will you sell? You sell us the whole basket. And he had just been telling the devotees how I liked fresh vegetables from the garden, and we should offer our vegetables to the deity. And if you buy wholesale, how you can save money. And here a man came with a basket on his head. So then Prabhupada immediately set up a bargaining with him. And he started telling, look at, if you go to the market, you'll spend the whole day sitting there with a basket. I'm buying it from you right now. You can go and do something else. You don't have to walk 2 miles to the market and sell your goods. So like this, he bargained him down to maybe 6 rupees for the basket. And then said, okay, you go to the temple, and here's a chit. Give him a note, and they'll pay you over there. So the man went off with the basket and went to the temple and sold those vegetables, and then that was what they cooked for the deities and Prabhupada that day. One time, I remember one Maharaj was cooking up hot puris, and we were taking hot puris with date gur, with date molasses. And then Prabhupada was looking through the window and seeing everybody, the sannyasis and brahmacharis around getting hot puris, and then taking one after another with the date gur. Then he said, this is not very good for sannyasi life. One time, one of the big ministers, he was the number 2 person in the state government. He was the home minister. And he came to see Srila Prabhupada, and his family, his name is Tarunkanti Ghosh. His family is family of Vaishnavas. His grandfather was the one who said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the 7th Goswami. He had written a book about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now his grandson had become a big politician. He was the editor of a major newspaper also. So he came to see Prabhupada, and when he came, he went right behind Prabhupada's desk, and he went to grab Srila Prabhupada's feet. So at that time Brahmananda was going to come, and then he looked like he was going to go and jump on him. And then Prabhupada, here the home minister is the person who's in charge of all the police, all the everything, He said, no, it's all right. And he just came and grabbed Prabhupada's feet and just put his head on his feet. Like Prabhupada, what could he do? There was one really interesting thing happened, that when we moved to the new building in Mayapur, where he was staying in the 3rd floor, but the building was not finished. The toilets were not completed, the piping hadn't been connected. So we had to personally empty the toilet. There'd be a bucket there. And the toilet was there, but there was just no pipe. And he came all of a sudden and we wasn't ready. So we had the service to go, and who could empty out the remnants or whatever, the refuse. But one day, Prabhupada started calling out, Jayapataka, Jayapataka. And why he was calling out, so I ran to the bathroom. And in the bathroom, Prabhupada was holding the door semi-shut, and there was a snake, a venomous serpent, was stuck in the border of the door, and it was trying to bite Srila Prabhupada, and it was leaping out and just coming and missing him. And he was holding the door, so by the pressure of the door, he was like, the snake was being slightly crushed, so that he couldn't get loose. So like Prabhupada was like this and holding over here, and the snake was half, this much, it was out of the door, and he was trying to get Prabhupada. And so he was like, he had called for me, and then, I saw this situation. So then, somehow I got Prabhupada out of there, and with a stick or something, we hit the snake down, and we got Prabhupada out. And then, this is a very unusual circumstance, and all of a sudden. But afterwards, like Prabhupada, it was. Yes. He never lost. He was just, it was an urgent situation, so he was calling, but it was never that. He was always under the circumstance, cool and calm, and never lost his. Then he was trying to find out where the others. They said that if there's one, there must be two, because they always go in pairs. We could never. The other one disappeared down the hole, and we could never find it. One time, he was very strong with me, and he was like chastising me or giving me some strong instruction. And the next time I came to see him, then he had changed his mood, and he said, "I'm sorry that maybe I dealt with you too harshly," he said, how did he say it? He said, I'm a very hard person to tolerate, I deal very harshly," or something. And I couldn't believe that Prabhupada was saying, such a thing to me. And then I said, "No, Srila Prabhupada, I was offensive, and there was no wrong on your part." Actually, Prabhupada was walking down the stairway in Calcutta, and there were many devotees, I think like Tamal Krishna, and so many different devotees were there. And Prabhupada was going down the step, and his step slipped a little bit. It looked like he was almost going to fall down the stairway. And one of the senior devotees said, "Watch out, Srila Prabhupada." And then Prabhupada just stopped and looked, and he said that it is your responsibility to watch out. You have to take care of the body of the spiritual master. And the spiritual master will look out for your spiritual well-being. But as far as whether I fall or not, that you have to guard against. We were walking in the morning walk with Srila Prabhupada in North Calcutta. And then Srila Prabhupada just said, "Oh, here's a life member." He was a very wealthy man. For some reason, Prabhupada wanted to just stop in at his house, so he walked in, and the servant came out, and he said, "Tell your master that Bhaktivedanta Swami is here." So then, after some time, the servant came out and said, "Babu puja korta hai," that the master is doing puja. He's doing worship of his deity. He'll be here after some time. So then Prabhupada just commented that Krishna is more pleased when the devotee is served than when he's served. And that if this person was a more advanced devotee, he would appreciate it that here a spiritual master has come and left his deity worship to receive the devotee of Krishna. But because he's thinking that his deity worship is more important than receiving the devotee of Krishna, this shows that he's a neophyte or a Kanishtadikari. There was one time a thief who was a con artist who dressed like a sannyasi, and he started collecting in the name of ISKCON. He gave himself the name of Chutananda. So he was known amongst devotees as a Chutananda number 2. And he was based in Rajasthan. And around Jaipur he was collecting money. Somehow he got receipts. He copied receipts, rubber stamps, everything you needed to collect money. He even made up a big plan for building a temple. And he was going around and getting donations from people, saying he's a Chutananda, and it's for ISKCON. So some of these people appeared in Bombay and said, we were made a member by Chutananda. Were you a life member with Chutananda in Jaipur? Chutananda at that time was in Hyderabad or South India somewhere. So then they sent a few devotees up to find out who is this Chutananda, and then they located that he was actually a thief. And he was stealing from people in this way, as a Karn artist. So somehow they got him to go to see Prabhupada, who was in Mayapur. And Prabhupada had called all the like the equivalent of the FBI in India, the CID, the chief of the district police, superintendent of police, and they all came. In the meantime, Prabhupada talked with this person. This is Chutananda number 2. And he, after talking to Prabhupada, he said that you're a great spiritual master, a saint. I feel changed after talking with you. So I want to surrender at your lotus feet. I'm going to surrender my life to you and do whatever you say. I'm giving up all my bad ways. So then Prabhupada called in all the big police officers that came there to take this person away, because there had already been cases registered and everything. And he said that I have to give this person asylum, because he surrendered to me. As a spiritual master, if someone surrenders to me, I have to give him shelter. And they were, you know how police are, they're like ready to just dive in on him and, take him away. And they were like, he said, well, Guruji, what can we say? But we don't believe this person. He's a thief, So what can I do? If he surrenders, then I have to accept. But he told that person, if you follow, you're safe. But if we find that you want to escape and leave, I'm going to turn you over to the police. So he gave that person some service to do. He had him do some writing for him and kept him engaged. But after about, a week or 10 days, some devotee spotted him in the Mangal Arati time trying to leave from the front gate with his bag. So then he went and grabbed him and brought him over to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, I gave you a chance. You said you were surrendering, but now you're revealing that you are not actually sincere. So then he called the police and said, I'm giving him over to you. One day, when we just moved into the Lotus building, the first multi-story temple, guest house, where Prabhupada's quarters were, when we moved from the grass hut to that building, then there was a very big feast. And we invited many villagers and everyone to come. We gave a big feast. After the feast was over, all the leaf plates were thrown behind the temple. And then Prabhupada went upstairs to his room. And I was sitting in the room with Srila Prabhupada, and then there was dogs barking in the back. So Prabhupada got up and walked over to the veranda and looked over the veranda. And there he saw that there was this big pile. So many people had taken prasadam. There was a very big pile of banana leaves, which are the organic way that you eat in India, off a leaf. And there were some some children who were obviously very poor. They had, torn clothes, and they had sticks in their hand, and they were beating off the dogs to get the remnants of food that people had left on their plates and thrown in the garbage pile. And when Prabhupada saw that, he saw that, what a scene to see human beings have to fight dogs off to eat, the throwaways, the spittings that people have thrown away. When Prabhupada saw that, literally he started to cry. Tears were coming down. And he just said, just see how hungry they must be. Who would, stoop to that kind of a situation to fight off dogs, to eat, things that other people had thrown away. So he was really moved that these children are so hungry. And he said, we have to organize that nobody within a 10-mile radius of the temple is hungry. Everyone should have food to eat. So that's when he organized this. Initially it started as the ISKCON Food Relief. Later it became Food for Life. And he wanted that there should be a regular program of distributing prasadam on a weekly basis, 2 days a week. And we started all 7 days in the week we were distributing. 5 days for little children and pregnant and nursing mothers, and 7 days was simply for anybody, without any discrimination, whether they're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or anyone, men, women, young, old. So that, and Prabhupada was so moved when he saw that people were hungry like that. Je anilo premadana koruna prachu.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody once again for His Holiness Jayapataka Swamy Maharaj's 74th Vyasapuja festival which we have today.
Hare Krishna. So ellarigu mattomme ee 74ನೇ ವ್ಯಾಸಪೂಜಾ ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವರ ಆ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ.
I'll just read out the broad program which we are going to have today.
ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತಿಂದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮು ಏನೇನಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಇವಾಗ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತೀವಿ.
So we'll just start the session with a biography of Guru Maharaj which will be shared by Vibhav Krishna Prabhu.
ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವರ ಜೀವನ ಚರಿತ್ರೆದು ಆ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನು ಹಿಸ್ ಗ್ರೇಸ್ ವಿಭವ್ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರಭು ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ.
That will be followed by glorifications by Guru Maharaj's God brothers.
ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವರ ದೈವ ಸಹೋದರರ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಗ್ಲೋರಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ವೈಭವಕರಣನ ನಾವು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್.
That will be followed by glorification from congregation devotees.
ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿವೋಟೀಸ್ ಅವರ ವೈಭವಕರಣನ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬರೇ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು.
And today we'll have the privilege of hearing from His Holiness Jayapataka Swamy Guru Maharaj around 11:30 live from Mayapur.
ಸೊ ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ 11:00 ಹಿಸ್ ಹೋಲಿನೆಸ್ ಜಯಪತಾಕ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಲೈವ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸಂದೇಶ ಅದನ್ನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರದ್ದು ರಿಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಇವಾಗ.
And we'll also in between break around 12 o'clock because everybody is fasting, so we'll take a short eat break.
ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ 12 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಈಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕುರ್ಕುಲು, ನಾಟ್ ಮೈನ್ ಪ್ರಸಾದಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಈಟ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
Okay, and around 1 o'clock we'll have the Boga offerings, then Pushpanjali followed by Aarti and cake cutting.
ಸೊ ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಭೋಗ ಆಫರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ತಂದಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅದರದ್ದು ಆಫರಿಂಗ್ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಕ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಪುಷ್ಪಾಂಜಲಿ, ಅದರ ನಂತರ ಆರತಿ, ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಕ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
And then we'll have a sumptuous feast prasadam.
ಸೊ ಅದರ ನಂತರ ಪ್ರಸಾದ, ಮೈನ್ ಪ್ರಸಾದ. ಓಕೆ, ಹರಿ ಬೋಲ್ ಟು ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಕಿ
ಜೈ. Okay, so now we will just start with the biography of Guru Maharaj. So I just request His Grace Vibhav Krishna Prabhu to
His Grace Vibhav Krishna Prabhu, if you can hear us, kindly come over. He's there.
Okay. Can we just play one video, a short video, Prabhu?
He's come.
He has come. Yeah. You can sit here, absolutely.
Omajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shlakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yutha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha.
Flower arrangement.
Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swamy Nitinamine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kipapradayane Gaura Katha Dhamadaya Nagara Grama Tarini Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamy Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisheshunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this very auspicious coming together of celebrating the 74th Vyasapuja of His Holiness Jayapataka Swamy Maharaj. So I'm going to give you some glimpses. I won't go into the great details, like some glimpses about his biography. And we can, from that, get a big picture of his services and his responsibilities that he is carrying on his shoulder. So, I begin with this sentence which Srila Prabhupada made. He said, Srila Prabhupada, quote Srila Prabhupada, I went to your country. Your country is USA. Srila Prabhupada went to USA with a mission, and you all good souls were sent by Krishna to me. That is Prabhupada's humility. He gave credit to his spiritual master, he gave credit to Krishna, that Krishna sent you all to me. And then, one of the good souls which was sent by Krishna to Srila Prabhupada is His Holiness Jayapataka Swamy. And His Holiness has been serving Srila Prabhupada as a selfless worker over 5 decades. That means 50 years. Over 50 years he has been serving. A little bit about his birth and early childhood. His Holiness appeared as per the solar calendar, 9th of April 1949, which was also Ekadashi day. and had a name given by his parents as Gordon John, which later on His Holiness was thinking that this is divine arrangement. Gordon John, he looked at it as Gaur, Dhan Jan. So, Srila Prabhupada once had said that His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj and two other devotees were formerly associates of Lord Chaitanya, and they had taken their birth in the West to facilitate spreading Krishna consciousness around the world. His early days, his studies, he was very good in his studies. He excelled in his school life, and even in the university. He was admitted to the Brown University. And because of his good rankings, he was given full scholarship. And so once at the Brown University, he was very much moved by a guest lecture. There was somebody the university had invited who came and spoke on the life of Lord Buddha. After sitting in that lecture and hearing, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj lost all interest in his studies and began searching for a spiritual teacher. After some time of searching and austerity, he came to the conclusion that he would have to go to India to find a spiritual teacher. And he was preparing to leave for India. But then what happened? Divine arrangement. He met some devotees, ISKCON devotees there, who were distributing, they were performing kirtan and distributing Back to Godhead magazines. So one of the devotees approached him with the Back to Godhead magazine. And when he came face to face and he saw the tilak on his forehead, he had a very strange feeling. He could not identify what it was, and he just began running away from there after seeing the devotee. And he ran for some time. Then he stopped and he said, "Why did I do that? Why did I run away? What happened that made me run away?" So he was reflecting. And after some time, he got this, realization that there was a reawakening of something that had been dormant within him and hidden from his memory. And then he came back to the place where the devotees were distributing Back to Godhead, but they had already left from there. And then he began his search. He was searching for the devotees. Finally, during a Rath Yatra festival in San Francisco in 1968, he found the location of ISKCON and he went to the temple, and the very first devotee he met there was Jayananda Prabhu, who was building the cart for the Rath Yatra. So immediately he encouraged him and inspired him to do some seva and got him engaged. So that was his entry into ISKCON. He has not even entered the temple. He is in the front of the temple and helping build the cart for Lord Jagannath. So later on he met Srila Prabhupada, and he was encouraged by Srila Prabhupada, who invited him to take prasadam with him. So Prabhupada personally took prasad, and in just 2 months after meeting Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj decided to commit himself to the principles of ISKCON. And it was again Jayananda Prabhu who shaved up. He shaved his head. And the devotees there, everyone was surprised. In a span of 2 months, like he had progressed so much. In 1968, His Holiness got his first initiation in Montreal, Canada, and he was given the name Jayapataka Das Brahmachari. And very soon, within a short span, he was given his Brahmin Diksha also, second initiation. And he was also given the important service of leading the Montreal Yatra. He was given, elected as the temple president to take care of Montreal. So he began rendering a number of services for ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada told him that you stay here for the time being, you stay in Montreal, because there are too many valuable services which you can render here. So there, while in Montreal, His Holiness, he was engaged in the service of printing books for Srila Prabhupada and dispatching them to other ISKCON centers around the world. Later on the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj was sent to Toronto to open a center in Toronto. And having opened a center, he rendered some service there for some time. But then there was another devotee who took over the Toronto center as president. So at that time, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj wrote to Srila Prabhupada inquiring about his service. That is when Srila Prabhupada told him, gave him the instruction, okay, now you go to India. And you take a long visa. Srila Prabhupada told him, go to India, take a long visa. We have a great deal of work to do there. So he was identified for India, that Srila Prabhupada said, we have much to do now. And the very first time he traveled, and later on we can see from his records, he was such an expert. So when you take flights, you get mileage, right? And you can use that mileage for further tickets. So he chose a route where he traveled the maximum and got the most mileage and reached India in the cheapest ticket. It took 48 hours for him to travel from US to Calcutta. Imagine, 48 hours. From Montreal to London to Brussels to Bombay, and then he came to Calcutta. At Calcutta, Jayapataka Maharaj, he began to learn Bengali. He had services, so he was going out to buy fruits, vegetables. Along with the other devotees, he started conducting house programs. He organized pandal programs. There was no temple. So he was organizing pandal programs, and personally he went on Nagar Sankirtan and book distribution. At that time, there was a lot of violence happening in the city of Calcutta. So amidst all the violence, it did not discourage him. He would still go out and perform these services. And then His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj found Srila Prabhupada, for Srila Prabhupada, some land in Mayapur. So it was in 1970, Srila Prabhupada came in the month of August 1970 to Mayapur. At that time, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj had already moved from Calcutta to Mayapur, and he was staying there with a few other devotees. And the facilities were very, very scant. They were staying in grass huts, sleeping on the floor. Not much facility. And they were growing their own crops. So whatever, suppose, you have grown some vegetable, so that was the only vegetable that they ate for the next few months. There was no variety. Imagine if you have grown whatever, let's say brinjal. So you're eating brinjal for the next few months. That's the only vegetable you're eating. So the devotees lived under these conditions at that time. So then on the most auspicious day of Radha Ashtami in 1970, His Holiness was awarded the sannyas ashram by Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur Dham. He was the 12th sannyasi disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And his name changed from Jayapataka Das Brahmachari to Tridandi Bhikshu Jayapataka Swamy. So, as I mentioned, that there were 5 other devotees staying, and they were taking care of the land there. So, it was very, very austere living. And His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he was engaged in agriculture at that time. He got deeply involved in agriculture, and he read many books on agriculture and learned the different methods and the techniques of how to get a best crop with the facilities available. And the local farmers were very surprised, and they wanted to learn from him. So this way he was able to build a very nice relationship with the local farmers because of his expert farming. And while he was teaching them the techniques, they were in turn brushing up his Bengali language. So his Bengali language was improving more and more because working in such close proximity with the Bengali farmers. And then gradually he started giving Bengali classes. He started preaching to the farmers and to the other people in Bengali language. And sometimes those who attended his classes, they would correct him if he, said something wrong in Bengali. So this way, he was perfecting his knowledge of Bengali. Life, apart from being very austere in Mayapur, there were so many types of dangers also. So you just heard in the class also that once Srila Prabhupada, how he was confronted by a snake, and then, he called out, and His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj came and then was able to drive away the snake. But then immediately then Prabhupada said that, okay, we require some decent accommodation. So along the wall, which you all know, Mayapur front gate, along the wall where you have a lot of shops now. So there 3 huts were built along the wall, like a warehouse, So construction also, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj was involved. And then the Lotus building came up. So he was supervising and he was doing all the purchases, and he became such an expert in having a good bargain. I remember from my earlier visits when I've heard this, that he would cross the Jalangi, go to the other side. Crossing Jalangi, he would take his bicycle on the boat, and after crossing, now we have roads there. Earlier there were no roads. You had kacha mud roads, and you would be driving through the fields. So he had to go to Krishnanagar to buy steel, to buy cement, and cement was quota those days. You cannot buy cement off from the shelf, like off the shop. The quota was released in given by the government. So he had to do a lot of traveling. So when he used to go cycling from Mayapur to Krishnanagar, he was riding his bicycle through the fields, and he would loudly be chanting Hare Krishna, going on the cycle. And when he would reach Krishnanagar and buy whatever hardware, steel or whatever, this one shopkeeper, he had within him this particular thought, that this person, whenever I see him, there's so much of radiance in his face. He is looking always so very happy. So one day, he said, I have everything. I have house, I have business, I have money, I have everything. You are a brahmachari, you don't have anything, you are staying in a hut there. But how come you are so happy? I feel envious, when I see you. You look so happy all the time. At that time, His Holiness said, well, happiness is derived when we take shelter of the holy name of the Lord. So I try to, remember and chant the holy name, and that gives me happiness. So, during construction also, he was very, very careful. He would not spend 1 rupee extra. Forget 1 rupee, it is mentioned here 1 anna. At that time it was annas. He would try to save that also. So then he also, because there were, dangers also from the locals who were envious. So, sometimes they would be also attacked. So Jayapataka Maharaj, he formed different teams. And these teams, he had a few teams. He gave each team a name, and he said, we have to stay vigilant in the night. We cannot sleep. So on rotation, 4 hours, okay, this team will stay awake. And the next 4 hours, this team. Like that. So, keeping guard at night, because there was construction going on and there was a good possibility of theft. People would come and steal the cement or steel or whatever. So he kept, throughout the night there was vigil. So this way we can see he was very, very meticulous with all the services that he undertook in Mayapur. And devotees who worked along with him, they always found that whenever they took some matter to him, he not only solved it, but he also added new dimensions to it. Of how, we can expand the services also. So an early devotee who worked with him remarks, there are very few people who care from the bottom of their heart about ISKCON Mayapur. And Jayapataka Maharaj's experience, his loyalty and capacity of Mayapur in-house is unparalleled. Somebody give me a click when I should. Because this is long, we have other programs also. So, we can hear this in short from others. Can I another few minutes? Okay. So we can see his deep attachment not only to Mayapur but all the services rendered in Mayapur and the devotees who are staying in Mayapur. He is very deeply connected with everyone. So, also because, in 1978, there was a huge flood in Mayapur. And at the risk of his own life, the flood was so severe, at the risk of his own life, he would travel in these very small boats and, they would cook prasad and he would take to the villages around and distribute prasadam. So because of his selfless service, that at the cost of his own life he was doing this, the local, the people there got so attracted to him that there was a huge demand from the people also now that to the government that he should be given citizenship. Indian citizenship. So, and whenever, he was preaching, he was also distributing books, participating in kirtans. And Srila Prabhupada, because he was traveling into the interiors in Bengal, once Srila Prabhupada, he asked him that, he gave him a target, that you have to distribute 10,000 big books and 100,000 small books every month. Which he keeps reminding not only himself, he keeps reminding all his disciples, okay, you have to help me fulfill Srila Prabhupada's instruction which has been given to me. So every night, if you see, when he is addressing on Zoom, every night he is preaching. After the Zoom session, many devotees come forward and sponsor books. So next day morning, after Mangalarti, when they announce the scores, his name always is mentioned. How many books were distributed by him? So this way, even sitting in Mayapur, sitting in his room, he is still distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. So one time, when His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj entered the room of Srila Prabhupada, at that time Srila Prabhupada told him, I have given you the kingdom of God. Now you develop it. So this, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he found it very, very serious, and he took it to his heart. In 1970, this is connected with his preaching program. In 1970, in Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada used to go for morning walks. During one of those morning walks, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj was also there. And Srila Prabhupada stopped in front of a church, huge church, and he said that the future of ISKCON will be, he had stopped in front of the church and the church was locked. He said the future of ISKCON will be that there will be less devotees in the temple, but there will be thousands of devotees living outside the temple. This was the vision Srila Prabhupada gave in 1970 during a morning walk. At that time, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he could not relate with that. He could not understand. There was no word known as congregation in 1970. Devotee means you are living in the temple. There was no devotee living outside the temple, so the word congregation did not exist. So when Srila Prabhupada made this statement, Jayapataka Maharaj, found it difficult to digest. He could not understand. But then later on, we see now how the whole concept of congregation and the importance he has given to congregation development. He is the Minister for Congregation Development, where he has introduced not only Bhakti Vriksha, Namhatta and various other types of preaching, where not hundreds, not thousands, but hundreds and thousands of devotees are practicing Krishna consciousness in their house. So the temple has been taken to the house of the devotees. And this was the vision of Srila Prabhupada. This actually, there's another event which is connected with this. After Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, once His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, who was very closely serving Srila Prabhupada, he gave a book to His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. That book was Gaudiya Patrika. The book was given by Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So that book explained in detail, it went into great detail, the system of Namata preaching. And this book inspired Jayapataka Maharaj to establish, expand and develop the method of preaching. Namata preaching further evolved into Bhakti Vriksha also. It started with Namata in the villages and then it evolved into Bhakti Vriksha. I remember when we were in the big temple, we had a seminar, and in that seminar, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, while he was addressing, he mentioned that how Christianity, how did it flourish all over the world? So he gave examples of a few countries where he had visited and he had studied and taken from them this concept. He says they have many churches. You may have a small town, a small city, but they will have many churches, small places, churches, But the people surrounding, living close to those churches would come every Sunday to the church. So it's not like, one big temple and the whole city comes to the temple. So he got this idea that we should also have like this, but instead of churches, he thought we could have it in different devotees' houses. So if you're staying in a particular locality, a particular area, then you start a program and you invite your neighbors and those who are staying in the surrounding area. So he had mentioned that this concept was very good and it has produced very good results. We can see across the world, across all borders, if you see, wherever Bhakti Vriksha has been introduced, and if it has been sincerely followed, the principles of Bhakti Vriksha has been followed, it has produced very, very good results. Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to ring the bell. Okay, so we will be hearing lots more about His Holiness. I was able to, just touch a little bit. There's so much more. We will hear from all the devotees. We are very, very fortunate that we have a disciple of Srila Prabhupada who has dedicated his life and served Srila Prabhupada for more than 50 years, 5 decades, and is still. I recently had the good fortune of meeting him after a long gap, like a one-to-one, like sitting across. So even today you can feel the fire within him. Anybody who takes little association from him also, how he's completely absorbed. If you see his program from morning to night, he doesn't have any time for his personal self. His time is all, from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to sleep, his time is completely absorbed in serving ISKCON, serving Srila Prabhupada. His Holiness Jayapataka Swamy Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful nectar. And sorry to stop you in between. It can go on for days and months maybe when you talk the nectar of Guru Maharaj's pastimes. Just a quick few announcements. We would request all the parents to take care of their children not running around, so that everybody can hear the glorification peacefully.
ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಕೋರಿಕೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬಂದಿರೋರನ್ನ ಅವ್ರ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಯರು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡದಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ.
And for those who have got the bogas, please have it given in this particular counter over here. And if you have not included your names, please write your names, number of items.
ಮತ್ತು ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಭೋಗ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಂದಿರೋರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ವೋ ಅವರು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೊಡಿ. ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರನ್ನೂ ಕೊಡಿ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು.
Okay. We are also making some Lakshmi contributions for the Vyasapuja. So you can just reach out to the reception counter and you can give your contributions.
ಮತ್ತು ರಿಸೆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೌಂಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅದನ್ನು? ಸೊ ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಸೀನ್ ದಟ್. ಸೊ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಅವಕಾಶನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನಾದರೂ ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಸೇವೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Okay. Before we just start the glorifications from the congregation devotees, we will hear about Guru Maharaj from his god brothers.
ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವರ ದೇವ ಸಹೋದರರಾದ ಹಿಸ್ ಹೋಲಿನೆಸ್ ಸಚಿನಂದನ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಸಂದೇಶ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ನ ತರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಹಿಸ್ ಗ್ರೇಸ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿಧಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ್ ಪ್ರಭು ಅವರು. ಸೊ ಐ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಟು ಕಮ್.
Yeah, let me just request His Grace Srinidhi Govind Prabhu to just read out the message of His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj.
ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇದರಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ. This particular lecture is a homage from Sachidananda Swami Maharaj that you have seen dancing him very lively in the video sometime back. So I'll just read out. Dear His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj and dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Respected Maharaj, on your 72nd appearance day, we think of your exemplary devotion to Srila Prabhupada, your kindness and generosity as a devotee and a preacher, and your determination to serve Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has remarked that he drew a lot of inspiration from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on Bhagavad Gita 2.41. For me, you are an example of this comment. I quote the verse and the commentary. Quote, those who are on the path and resolute in purpose, and their aim is one, O beloved child of Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, this verse specifies how amongst all types of intelligence, the intelligence which is related to the matters of Bhakti Yoga is certainly the best. In this Bhakti Yoga, the intelligence is one-pointed and is described in the following words. The divine instructions of my Guru to perform Kirtana, to remember and serve the lotus feet of Lord are my only practice, sadhana. They are my only goal, sadhya. These services are the only sustainers of my life. To give up this sadhana and sadhya is impossible for me. For those activities are my eternal only work. Even in my dreams, I don't desire anything else. Let there be happiness or distress. Let the world live or die. I shall not be affected by it. This sort of unadulterated, one-pointed intelligence is possible only in a devotee whose devotion is pure. One of my favorite memories of you is when we took a same plane from Krasnodar, Russia to Vienna, Austria. You were a last passenger to board the plane. As you had preached to the very last minute in a devotee Black Sea festival, on the plane you took generous amounts of time to give me your kind and precious Vaishnava Sangha. And then when we disembarked the plane in Vienna to go to to go to our separate connecting flights, you quickly left the airport to preach outside to a few Austrian devotees. 108% occupied in service. I saw with my own eyes there was no time for yourself. All your time and energy was engaged in spreading Krishna consciousness, just like Srila Prabhupada would want us to do. You are famous for engaging every ounce of your time and energy in the service to Srila Prabhupada. Even now, where you are physically not as mobile as before, you hardly slow down your exemplary seva. For us, God brothers, it is obvious you are running on a spiritual energy and divine mercy. My dear God brother, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj ki Jai. Wish you all the best and hoping you to see you soon. Your humble servant, Satchidananda Swami. Jai Srila for His Holiness Jayapataka Swamy Maharaj ki
Jai. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Now I request His Grace Mathura Shyam Prabhu to just read the message from His Holiness Radhanath Swamy Maharaj.
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಇವಾಗ ಹಿಸ್ ಗ್ರೇಸ್ ಮಥುರಾ ಶ್ಯಾಮ್ ಪ್ರಭು ಅವರು ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವರ ದೇವ ಸಹೋದರರಾದ ಹಿಸ್ ಹೋಲಿನೆಸ್ ರಾಧನಾಥ್ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವರ ಸಂದೇಶನ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಇವಾಗ. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ.
Greetings from Radhanath Swamy Maharaj. Dear His Holiness Jayapataka Swamy Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I, on this special and sacred day of your Vyasapuja, I wish to extend my sincerest gratitude to you. Your lifetime of devotional service, at times in most difficult situations, is a tribute to your surrender and your love for Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Vaishnava community. It is joy to see how your wisdom and compassion are uplifting people to Krishna all over the world. I feel your encouragement upon me is Srila Prabhupada's priceless blessing. You are a great inspiration in my life. With my sincerest gratitude and prayers for your good health, your servant Radhanath Swamy. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Yeah. Now I would request His Grace Narahari Chaitanya Prabhu to start the offerings. Yeah.
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಹಿಸ್ ಗ್ರೇಸ್ ನರಹರಿ ಚೈತನ್ಯ ಪ್ರಭು ಅವರು ದ ಟೆಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामीति नामिने. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामीति नामिने. नमो आचार्यपादाय निताय कृपाप्रदायिने गौरकथा धामदाय नगर ग्रामधारणे. I met His Holiness in 19 1985. Just a year before we had come in touch with ISKCON, probably 6 months. So probably almost 37 years under his shelter. He has sheltered us by his gracious, compassionate mood. There are two phases where I have myself experienced by my Guru Maharaj in our lifetime. Till 1998, there was one phase, how he sheltered us. Then 1998 afterwards, how he sheltered us. So the compassion for Guru Maharaj is so much is that he never differentiates between a person who is fully committed or a full-timer in ISKCON or a full-timer as a preacher. So the mood, what he said right from the beginning, what I understood from him, he was a very inclusive in his commitment to ISKCON or people who follow. Right from the airport up to the temple, he goes on preaching, just like we heard Bhakti Sachidananda Maharaj telling that the moment he got down and he went and meet devotees. This is true everywhere, that whenever he has come to Bangalore airport, everybody knew him more than they knew anybody else. So because most of them were working there, and they would be, whenever Guru Maharaj would come, then everybody would be in queue to get the Mahaprasad. The first thing in the airport, he would get down from the plane, he would ask, where is the Mahaprasad from the temple? So you could see his mercy is not just his preaching, but every act of his is a preacher. Whether it is through his prasad, whether through how he communicates with the people, as a friend. So there were various aspects of his was really mind-blowing for a person who can understand. If a person is Krishna conscious, we have not seen Prabhupada, but we have seen Prabhupada through them. So for me it was a journey of ups and downs in earlier life before coming to ISKCON. But after coming to ISKCON, it was a very smooth journey till I came into the management. There's always a phase in ISKCON where when you're just preaching around and helping the temple, your life is smooth. But when you come to the management aspect, then there is some rumble strips in between. But it's a pleasure. It is not that I'm complaining. But certainly, because there is the aspects of some control can, pep our ego up. But whenever I used to think of my Guru Maharaj, we never felt like that, whether it is preaching, whether it's management, whether it's expansion or building temple. And it was always a great, to be with him. It was actually hardly any time whenever he used to come out walks. We would always listen to his memorable talks. He would touch the heart, whether it is a serious talk or he would have a kind of a joke which is spiritually oriented. So one such time which I'm sure I have shared with you all earlier is that when we got our new temple in Hare Krishna Hill, then temple was being built, it was there. Whenever he would come and we would go around with him walking, then our temple leader that time would explain, okay, this is happening, this is happening. So we were just walking like that. We were coming down and he saw there was a down, a kind of a pit was there, but it was stepped and there were some houses were coming up. Then he asked temple president, he says, what is that? He said. Then he said, temple president, that is Grasthashrama, he said. Then we were all standing there was a lot of brahmacharis. They said, see, Grasthashrama means pit there. So you have to go down. I mean, it was a nice joke which was connected with. So every act of his, he was very serious about every devotee who was taking up to Krishna conscious preaching, whether he is a newcomer or very experienced or many years in ISKCON. It was like that. Behind this I feel there is some connection of his to have this temple here. I will talk about it probably happened in 92 or 93. I don't know whether Vibhav Prabhu was there with me. We used to take him around, and so one time we came with my temple leader and some of us, I was driving the car. Then we had come, somebody had told us opposite to Banashankari, now it's a bus stand. There was a big pit there. It was a very big thing, and it was just that land was available, I don't know for what reason. Then our temple leader had already connected with the local authority. He says this land is there. So we had a temple already in Hare Krishna Hill, which was a big temple coming up. It was just in the beginning. Then Guru Maharaj saw and said that, I think, Madhupan Prabhu, we should have a Jagannath temple here, he said. Because it was Bangalore South. So it's about probably 2.5 kilometers from here. From here to the Banashankari temple. He said probably that direction is little tilted this side, so the Jagannath temple has come up here. So sometimes a spiritual master, what he dreams, what he says, Krishna is there to fulfill those things. So our duty is prime duty is to look at how we can fulfill his desires of expanding Krishna conscious movement. It was probably in 1989, I just gone on my business tour. I went to different places, and I was a little disturbed, and I was thinking that many places we had Prabhupada's altar was smaller, and the present gurus at that time was bigger. So I was thinking, how is this happening? So I went there, many places, even in Singapore it was. Then I came back, and that was the time when Guru Maharaj came to Bangalore. I said, Guru Maharaj, I'm a little disturbed about what it is. Then he asked me, what is that you got disturbed? He never let anybody down. Then I asked him, this is what I saw there. Then he said that sometimes he used this word that, yeah, it should not happen. But Prabhupada is not displeased as such because his disciples are doing also very good preaching. Sometimes if they are sitting on a higher level. But it is not a paddhati that we should. But in the end he said, yes, a spiritual master has to have a higher seat. So some corrections have to be made. It will be done. So certainly if leaders in ISKCON like him, if they were not there, many course correction wouldn't have happened. Because when spiritual master, founder Acharya leaves this world, or a father of the house leaves the place, then there is a lot of chaos. The mother and the young children, there will become confusion. So he told me that, yes, there could be some, disturbance. So it is getting corrected. That was the time even the zonal Acharya systems were there, and the course correction was going on. So zonal Acharya system was, each zone was given to one zone, and that he was taking care, and he became a predominant. But later on, it was not good in the interest, and they changed. So many times, some things were happening, and over a period of time, the GBC got that corrected. So they were open to it. So the mood of Guru Maharaj was that all the time he would keep Prabhupada in the center, even if there were Prabhupada God brothers who were extraordinary, but still Guru Maharaj was always looking at, he would see anybody through Prabhupada's eyes. So in the same time, when these aspects were actually cementing in my heart that how we should look at Prabhupada. If at all today, if I am in this movement, it is because of Guru Maharaj's mood of serving Srila Prabhupada. Left alone Krishna, we don't know exactly who Supreme Personality of Godhead after only reading Prabhupada books. But to know about Prabhupada's purity also, we require one of his disciples. Straight away Prabhupada we will not know. But only when their action speaks out about their glorification or their commitment to Prabhupada, it actually convinces us also. Even today so many people are taking up the Krishna consciousness. Yes, they have read about Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita. But still they require a facilitator in their life. So if our spiritual master is not able to deliver in that way, then we will make our own conclusions about Srila Prabhupada. So one more aspect of where I was convinced about his commitment to Srila Prabhupada was that some people were taking some instructions from Gaudiya Math people. That was happened in Vrindavan. So that became a big issue, and Guru Maharaj was telling this is not correct. Whatever is there, we have to settle our things within our... Srila Prabhupada had made the GBC, let's have this. So he was very strongly propagating this. And yes, this became a topic, and time came where they said that the people who went to others, they came back and they were asked for 1 year not to come to Vrindavan. So in that sense, it's not, I'm talking about criticism, it is talking about commitment to Srila Prabhupada's words. So how much Prabhupada has given, Prabhupada said that I have given everything in my books. So please go through that. So in that way I can see his commitment wherever he goes, absolutely one-point program. Other than Prabhupada, he will not see anybody else. There was one instance, it happened. Why I'm trying to mention is how Prabhupada is important for us, how the founder Acharya is important for us. It is necessary for all of us to see that way. One time it was a Rath Yatra and Guru Maharaj had to come, it will become a little bit late. So he came 1 day later. At that time there was one Gaudiya Acharya who was Prabhupada's Guru's disciple. So they had ISKCON Chennai had organized the Rath Yatra and he was giving class. And I was sitting at the back and Guru Maharaj just walked down. Immediately he saw that person giving class. Then he was very upset. He went into the room and we all just followed him. Then he said, how did you allow him to talk? He said he has offended Srila Prabhupada. We didn't know that. Actually, I had not seen that person at all. But later on, I came to know who he is. And even if you go to his... Today also, we can find certain things where he had criticized Prabhupada or his disciples. But he was so committed that he said, no, you cannot allow him. Then the next day, we didn't know anything. We were just... Anybody who would speak, come with a saffron robe, connected with Gaudiya Math, we would accept it. But he was so sensitive in identifying a person who had committed, talked something which was not, we would like to listen. So these are all the aspects of our Krishna conscious movement. We should not be able to see whether it is Ramanuja, whether Madhva, anybody else. We have to see through them what Srila Prabhupada says. We have to see through what our Guru Maharaj said. So this is very important for us. See, our allegiance to ISKCON has to be 100%. We need not be pakka in our understanding of philosophical, but our commitment to our spiritual master or to the founder Acharya, he is not negotiable. It is not because everything has come, we have grown big, we have seen all the Shastra which are telling that, yes, ISKCON has 10,000 years. Prabhupada said his laws, my books are the law book for 10,000 years. But whenever I have seen many devotees who have left ISKCON, they have left ISKCON on the sense of they committing a kind of an offense towards his own disciples who are struggling hard. So, all these people, the 12 members, 11 members who gave their life to Prabhupada at that time, because they did, today we are all sitting here. So, whatever has happened in the period of time, a pure Acharya, then some aberrations could be here and there, but that does not determine we have fallen or we have deviated. We have never deviated, we cannot deviate because everything is completely like a strong China wall. We are well protected. Only thing is, don't climb the wall and go that side. That is important. This wall of ISKCON is so much it should be in your heart. Don't think anything outside. Then that is kind of a crossing the wall. So, just like a wife who is dedicated to the husband, a husband dedicated to the wife, we are wedded to our teachings of our spiritual master and teachings to of our founder Acharya. These are the only way for us to go back to Krishna in that way. Krishna is pleased. There are other paramparas. They have their no problem. But for us, we have come in the Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara. His spiritual master, Jayapataka Swamy, is coming in that way. Most of you have taken shelter. Most of you have taken Diksha, first Diksha, second Diksha. So it's our duty to fulfill the desires of his and how to go forward. Everything very crystal clear, what he was. Most of you have seen him, how energetic he was, whatever he would speak. You know, a kind of an aroma would come out whenever he come out of the airport, his body, it's just like, it's not an artificial stuff. It was a natural thing. People would get attracted. For anything which is beautiful, anything which is powerful, you get attracted. So in the same way, you could see when Prabhupada went to Indira Gandhi, how things changed. They gave visas. If it is because all these people gave visas, today we are getting visa to the spiritual world. Don't you think so? If he had not taken Indian citizenship, if they were not, how many Indians were there to help Prabhupada? It was all foreigners. It was all foreign bodies. They all helped. They set up everything. They didn't know anything. They came. They learned. They experienced the joy. And today they are conquering in all the world. Every ISKCON leader at that time was a great fighter. But what was their qualification? They are 100% commitment to Srila Prabhupada. So this is the way we can also try our best to give our 100% commitment to our Guru Maharaj. He has his own, many instructions given, and we can go through that, and whatever possible way we can do it. Now, very important point which I would like to share with is when 1998 the temple opened, we had a great plan for congregation preaching and things like that. But 97, the temple opened for the public. 98, we were out of the temple. So I'm not disturbed by what happened, but I'm just seeing that date today, we are back on the saddle. A beautiful temple has come up. Now you can restart. Already we are all preaching. But the difference here is that most of your congregation is already blended with brahmacharis. So we have a great team play work together. And again opportunity has come to Bangalore South where we can expand this movement. And that can happen only is cooperation with Guru Maharaj. And when you cooperate with him, that means you have to cooperate with the God brothers. So it is necessary for all of us to work together, bring out a plan, because Guru Maharaj's plan is Prabhupada's plan. That's how it is. So if congregation expansion plan, he is the congregation minister, that means all of us have a role. Management is limited to day-to-day management. But the real taste lies in the field. So today if we have to give something in return on this Vyasapuja day, is this temple we are offering to him. Is it not? Is it not the hard and work all of you have put together? It's coming to a shape. I went to Bombay to talk to him about the temple opening and things like that. And there was the meetings. Then evening I have to go and talk to him. And when meetings are going, he's coming online. He's also in the same temple, the same premises. But I have to go and talk to him. But I got stuck between I have to present the cases, then I have to go and speak to him. Then it was the last one day, then I went out. It was around 6 o'clock, the meeting ended. I rushed to his room. I think Sunil Prabhu was there, his wife was there. Then I was just standing outside. I said, what to tell him? I have to call him for the temple inauguration, things like that. The moment I came, they're studying, he saw. He said, but there's so many people around him, They just drag him off. So we can't help. That is the quality of Vaishnavas, they are wanted everywhere. No, I was just imagining, I didn't feel anything that they are taking away. But I was only thinking, all right, what is not going to happen from him? Let me get in touch with his secretary. So I sat with the secretary trying to work out what it is. So what is more refreshing for me is, even if I'm not able to speak to him, by seeing him, it making the difference. Many times I would like to go and ask him this. But the moment I see him, there's nothing there. Everything is resolved. Whenever I want to ask some question, somebody else would have already asked, my answer would be there. So there is no opportunity there. So what I'm trying to highlight is, he's not an ordinary person. He's a person whom cultivated by Srila Prabhupada, nurtured by Srila Prabhupada, as it is so many people also. But somehow this South India aspect is under his zone. So it is naturally our obligation to see how his expansion goes, how we are going to fulfill his desires. Whether it is books distribution, whether it is building temples. Well, whatever it is that he has not come and said, oh, why you didn't do this, why didn't you? Very interesting happened when I was in Detroit, and then Guru Maharaj was in South Vrindavan. So I said, Guru Maharaj, you are in Bangalore, I could not see you, but I am seeing you online in South Vrindavan. Yes, South Vrindavan, he had just gone. That was a 10-year meditation where it came back to ISKCON, where he was not able to go there. How he was not able to go there, God only knows. But he had inspired some congregation to develop a monastery or a community there. So they all went there, they put all their money, and they built a beautiful temple around that. So many houses came. For some reason, it was not integrated with ISKCON. Somehow it got integrated. So I went to Guru Maharaj, what is your advice for me to... I was going there for... they had put me to see if I could do something. So I asked him, what do you want? He says, that is an ISKCON property. Devotees have somewhere been little outside, so you can get them back. So that's what. Today it is in ISKCON, that South Vrindavan is there. I said, Guru Maharaj, you are in South Vrindavan, I am not there. So fulfilling the desires of the Guru, it should be our topmost priority. Even within the family, it is necessary that we keep him in the heart and try to, because he is eternal father for us. We are not eternal to anybody. We are eternal child of only Krishna. So in this way, we always have two aspects. One will want to fulfill the responsibilities what we have. At the same time, accountability with responsibilities with our Guru. Because that is his mission. So his mission is Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, how we can expand more and more. So if we have to see Krishna, we have to see through him. We see through his instructions. So the more and more all of you start preaching, systematically communicate with these people, we will be fulfilling his desires. What is his desire? Right from the airport, what I said, that the ticket person who allows inside, right to the air hostess, I will really go back to God, because his mercy is going like that. In the same way, when there's a temple where he called it as the oasis, I remember when he came here, he said that in the first Bhumi Puja, he said that this place which is there, it has to become the door for Goloka south side, for south. So it is a great instruction which he predicted, and he wants it to happen. So it is natural for all of us to take this very seriously, make this door open, and see anybody coming into the temple that he gets the taste of Krishna consciousness. That is just not my desire, it is his desire. And wherever he goes, his desire is the same. So he is a victory, that's why his name is Jayapataka. Wherever he goes, there is victory. And even in the hospital time, where he was there for some time, the moment we saw him, Certainly we were all thinking he's just lying down. I had gone with Narsim Swami once to just see him, and there were all tubes everywhere, and Narsim Swami was there with me. He was chanting Narsimha Kavacha in his ear. We could see a little shake-up. But afterwards, today, what we see, we never expected this kind of miracle can happen. So, spiritual master is all about what Krishna wants. So, they are wedded to Krishna's principles. So, he is right in the front for us. As much as possible, take his instructions, we have to go in this direction. And time to come, whatever we do, that blessing is coming from Srila Prabhupada. But unity is in force. 55,000 disciples he has. Just imagine. And some of us are here. Many times he tells his senior disciple, please take care of it. To me, he told me, this is a time where we have a relay race going on. Each one have to contribute to others' progress, and in that way, we can be success. So if there is some kind of a difference, just see Guru Maharaj and let's go on. It doesn't matter. There will be always difference of opinion, right? Always difference of opinion, right? In the family it is there, why cannot be in such a big organization? So Prabhupada said, there will be differences in the society, but we have to go on. We have to go on with the mission of Guru. Because when Father comes in the front, all the sons will become, one with him. So we have to go with Guru Maharaj, whether it is his Vapu or his Vani. The moment you bring him in front of you, then all our aberrations, whatever we are thinking, should be one with him. Yes, we have to please with him. My God brother, I have a lot of differences, but the moment I see him with my Guru Maharaj, he is his Amsha. So in this way, I am just sharing with all of you. It's a great opportunity that at time to come, there will be no peace. You have to give peace to everyone. This will not be the same after 3 to 4 months. Everyone will be busy. Nobody will be, so much time to talk to each other. It will not happen. So, because I've experienced this. Hare Krishna Hill, the moment temple opened, nobody had time for each other. The time has come, maybe not that magnitude, but certainly it has. Just to conclude, what I was saying is, on Ram Navami day, Prabhakar Prabhu, just one day before he introduced me to the builder who is making this, stormwater drain. So he came and introduced me, he is doing this. And he was telling him, please make sure it is done in time. So at that time he was telling that, no, we will take priority. You can see already he is doing. It's actually a government work. It's a priority for the entire area. But ISKCON is a major benefactor. We are getting the major benefit from them. Then he was telling them, if it is okay with you, then solpa ella concrete marbidi. He told him. He says, that's what he is also asking. He says, don't worry, ISKCON ellinda barate alli tanka full concrete madbidtini. So everybody is cooperating. Why can't we? This is what you have to understand. Everybody, the blood flowing in all our hearts is nothing but the parampara. A person who is outside is ready to, spend his money, who doesn't even know anything like that, I'll full concrete. Please, one thing you understand that all the people are ready to cooperate. But are you willing to, expect that from them? There is no differences. Then Ram Navami day he came, sir, I think so he came and talked to me, sir, nimde top priority ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನೇ ಬಂದು ನಿಂತು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಇದು multi-millionaire why should you come ಈ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಗೆ ನಾನೇ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. So Ramachandra Bhagavan, I told our Rukmini bring some Mahaprasad. He was so happy, He says that before your temple opens, everything will be ready. So this is the conclusion of anybody coming in touch with ISKCON or any devotee. They will make tremendous progress. But our cooperation is required. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. I just pray for all of you. You also pray so that in the coming days in July, so that he comes, he inaugurates all the 3 programs he has inaugurated, come here, done it. Now the main temple program is about to happen. Mahavara asked me, what is your program? I said, what are the dates? I said the date is when Guru Maharaj comes. I did not say these are the dates. Because when you asked me for the dates, I gave you the dates. But what do you think now he has to go to America? I said, no problem, I'll wait. So the dates you give me, so in spiritual life, spiritual master is everything. Above Krishna. Just like Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj was telling that how a devotee was doing puja when Prabhupada went there. So all of us should look at this point is Vaishnava Seva is more important than Janardana Seva. Because they carry Janardana in the heart. So is what. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful offering and always inspiring us. Now we'll just start with the offering from the congregation devotees. In the interest of time, we will restrict the offering to only 2 minutes, and there'll be a bell which will be rung. So we would request everybody to limit your offerings to 2 minutes, and we will just.
Hare Krishna. So, ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಪ್ರಭು. ವೆರಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೈರಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಸೇಜ್, ಸಂದೇಶ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪ್ರಭು ಅವರು. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ ವೈಭೀಕರಣ. ಸೊ ಗುರು ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬರಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಡಿಸೈಪಲ್ಸ್ ಬಂದು ಈ ಆಫರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಹೆಸರು ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಆ ಹೆಸರು ಕರಿತಿದ್ದಂಗೆನೇ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಬಂದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ವೈಭೀಕರಣನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ಅವಕಾಶ ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಲಿಸ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಕ್ಕಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ವೈಭೀಕರಣನ 2 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಗಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಡಿ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕೋರಿಕೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೂಚನೆ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಬೆಲ್ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಪ್ರಭು, ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್. ಅದು ಇಂಡಿಕೇಶನ್ನು. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಇದನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ? ಹರಿ ಬೋಲ್.
Hari Bol.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just start the offering with His Grace Murli Murari Prabhu, and then followed by Srinidhi Govind Prabhu and Vibhav Krishna Prabhu.
नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताका स्वामी निति नामिने नम आचार्यपादाय निजकर्मप्रदायने गौरगदा दामोदाय नगरग्रामराय. I am very happy to get an opportunity to glorify my beloved Guru Maharaj. In this occasion, yesterday one circular sent by Madhur Shyam Prabhu, just to talk about only the qualities of the Guru Maharaj, not much we should do that. I referred it from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, what Lord says, the quality of a divine natured entity. There is a godly man endowed with the divine qualities. What it is stated here, Abhayam Sattva Samshridir Jnana Yoga Vyavasthita Dhanam Damastaya Yajnascha Swaidhyaya Tapa Arjavam Agimsa Satyam Makkurodasya Tyaga Santir Apaishunim Daya Bhuktit Aloluptam Margam Harir Achapalam. The qualities indicated, a few qualities of Guru Maharaj I want to indicate. Abhayam, fearlessness. Generally, after getting the attack of some of the disease, people will retire from their even the prescribed duties. And See, you might have seen me most of the time moving around with a mask, even in spite of 3 years before we got the corona. Still, we are afraid about it. But my Divine Grace, our Jayapataka Swamy Guru Maharaj, underwent the greatest threat of his life: stroke, liver, kidney transplantation, corona, eye surgery, but never given up the mission of spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. This is the fearlessness, abhayam, what Krishna calls as the first quality of a godly man endowed with a divine nature. And Swadhyaya, study of Vedic literature. Most of us not even having time to the easiest process of Sravanam. What you can see in our Bhagavatam classes, now we can see only 20 people we involved, right? Not more than that. Earlier process is Sravanam. Easiest process is Sravanam. Then only Kirtanam, chanting and reading and understanding the following. Prabhupada says, books are the basis in Krishna consciousness. So, established through the Bhakti Vedanta Institute, Prabhupada established, and with that he did the Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Sastri, Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Sarvabhauma courses.